Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. In today's video, we'll talk about option Greeks, mainly delta and gamma. We'll discuss how options are priced and how price movement in the underlying security can affect an option's price. There are many factors that affect option prices. These include price movement in the underlying stock, the amount of time to expiration, the volatility of the underlying stock, and the federal interest rates. There are 5 option Greeks: delta, gamma, theta, vega, and rho. Delta and gamma depend on the price of the underlying security. Theta depends on the amount of time to expiration, vega depends on volatility, and rho depends on the federal interest rate. Underlying price changes have a big impact on the price of an option. For puts, if the stock price goes down, the put option price goes up. If the stock price goes up, the put option price goes down. On the other hand, for calls, if the stock price goes up, the option price goes up. If the stock price goes down, the option price goes down. As you can see, puts behave like short positions, while calls act like long positions. We will begin by talking about delta. Delta is how much the price of the option changes for every dollar move in the stock. This means that delta represents the amount an option price will change if the stock price goes up $1 or down $1. For puts, delta is always between -1 and 0. Deep in the money options have a delta of close to -1. Far out of the money options have a delta of close to 0. On the other hand, calls have a delta that is always between 0 and 1. Deep in the money options have a delta of 1, while far out of the money options have a delta of close to 0. For example, if I own a call option with a delta of 0.5, and the price of the underlying stock increases by $1, then the price of my call option will increase by 50 cents. If the price of the underlying stock decreases by $1, then my call option will also decrease by 50 cents. If I own a put option with a delta of -0.5 and the underlying stock price decreases by $1, then the price of my put will increase by 50 cents. If the underlying stock price increases by $1, then the price of my put will decrease by 50 cents. As you can see, for put options, if the underlying stock price goes down, then the option increases in value. For calls, if the underlying stock price increases, then the option price increases as well. Here we have 2 graphs of delta. The graph on the left represents put delta against stock price. The left side of the graph represents in the money put options. The right side of the graph represents out of the money put options. The line in the middle represents at the money puts. As a put goes further in the money, the delta will approach -1. As the put goes further out of the money, the delta will approach 0. At the money puts have a delta of -0.5. The graph on the right represents call delta against stock price. The left side of the graph represents out of the money call options. The right side of the graph represents in the money call options, and the line in the middle represents at the money calls. As a call goes further in the money, the delta will approach 1. As the call goes further out of the money, the delta will approach 0. At the money call options have a delta of 0.5. Now, let's look at some examples of delta. Let's assume that stock XYZ is trading at $100. Let's also assume that there's a call option for $4.50 with a delta of 0.55. Let's calculate how much the option will be worth if the stock price changes to $102 from $100. First, we need to calculate how much the stock price changed. $102 minus $100 is $2. Next, we need to multiply the change in stock price by the delta of the option. $2 times 0.55 is $1.10. This is how much the price of the option changed. Finally, we need to add the amount that the option changed to the original price of the option. $4.50 plus $1.10 is $5.60. So, the price of the call option will be worth $5.60 if the stock price changes to $102 from $100. Now let's take a look at what happens if I buy the same call option with a price of $4.50, but this time the price of XYZ goes down to $96.40 from $100. Subtracting $100 from $96.40 gives me a value of negative $3.60. This is negative because the stock price went down. Multiplying this value by my delta of 0.55 gives me negative $1.98. So the price of my call option will decrease by $1.98. Subtracting $1.98 from my original value of $4.50 gives me a new price of $2.52. Calculating put delta is very similar to calculating call delta. In this example, let's assume that stock XYZ is still trading at $100. Let's also assume that there's a put option for $4.50 with a delta of negative 0.45. How much will my option be worth if the stock price changes to $102 from $100? First, we need to calculate how much the stock changed. Subtracting $100 from $102 gives us $2. This value is positive because the stock value went up. Next, I can multiply this value by the option delta. $2 times negative 0.45 gives us negative 90 cents. This is how much the option price changed. Finally, I can add this value to the original price of the option and see that the option price is now $3.60. Now let's assume that I'm trading the same put option with an option price of $4.50. But this time, the price of XYZ goes down to $96.40 from $100. Subtracting $100 from $96.40 gives me a value of negative $3.60. This value is negative since the stock went down. Multiplying this by my delta of negative 0.45 gives me positive $1.62. This is the amount that my option price will change by. Adding this onto my original price of $4.50 gives me $6.12. The option price increased because for put options, if the stock price goes down, then the put option price will increase. Position delta is different from regular option contract delta. Position delta is the delta of a trade or position. Positive position delta indicates that the position will profit if the stock price increases. On the other hand, a position with negative position delta will make money when the stock price goes down. Long calls and short puts have positive position delta. Short calls and long puts have negative position delta. Keep in mind that since position delta is different from option delta, shorting a call with a delta of 0.5 will result in a position delta of negative 0.5. This is because the trade will profit when the stock price decreases. The next Greek we will discuss is gamma. Gamma is the rate at which delta changes for every dollar move in the underlying stock. All long options have positive gamma, while all short positions have negative gamma, regardless if the contract is a put or a call. When a trade has positive gamma, the position delta increases as the stock price goes up and decreases as the stock price goes down. When a position has short gamma, the position delta will decrease as the stock price goes up and increase as the stock price goes down. Since gamma is the rate of change of delta, when the stock price moves up or down by $1, higher gamma indicates larger option value changes when the stock moves. This will accelerate profits if the stock moves in your favor. However, if the stock moves the opposite way, high gamma will create large losses very quickly. Gamma is the highest when the option is at the money. Gamma decreases as the option goes deeper in the money or farther out of the money. This graph represents the value of gamma in relation to stock price. As you can see, gamma is the highest in the middle. Its value decreases on both sides. It is a standard normal distribution bell curve. Deep in the money and far out of the money options will have lower gamma because the delta of the contract will be close to 1, -1, or 0. These are the limits for delta. In these situations, gamma will be very low as delta cannot go past these values. At the money options have high gamma because the contract will move in and out of the money as the stock moves. The option price will be very sensitive to price changes in the underlying stock. Now, let's look at the effect of gamma on delta. Here we have a put with a delta of -0.45 and a gamma of 0.04. Stock XYZ is currently trading at $100. Assuming the XYZ moves to $102, what will the new delta be? To calculate this, first we have to find the difference in stock price. Since XYZ moved to 102 from 100, the change is positive 2. Multiplying this by the gamma of 0.04 gives us 0.08. This is the amount the delta changed by. Adding this to our original delta of negative 0.45 gives us a new value of negative 0.37. So, from a $2 move in stock price, our delta changed from negative 0.45 to negative 0.37. Next, let's take a look at what happens to the same option contract if the stock moves to $96.50 from $100. Since the stock declined, the change in stock price will be negative $3.50. Multiplying this by 0.04 gives us negative 0.14. This is the amount the delta will change. Adding this value to the original delta of negative 0.45 gives us negative 0.59. This is the new delta. Now, let's look at some examples for calls. The call in this example has a delta of 0.55 and a gamma of 0.04. When the stock XYZ moves to $102 from $100, the change is positive 2. Multiplying this with a gamma of 0.04 gives us a change of 0.08. Finally, adding this to the delta of 0.55 gives us a new delta of 0.63. The concept is the same when the stock price decreases. When the stock declines to $96.50 from $100, the change is negative $3.50. Negative $3.50 multiplied by the gamma of 0.04 gives us negative 0.14. Adding this value to our original delta of 0.55 gives us 0.41. This is the new value for delta. Keep in mind that delta does not increase and decrease linearly. For the sake of this video, we simplified the concept by only using one value for gamma. In real markets, gamma will change in relation to stock price as we previously saw on the graph. You can still find the change in delta using the method we just used. Just make sure to add the new values for gamma into the equation. Thank you for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe. If you had difficulty understanding some of the terms in this video, check out the other videos on our channel as they have more information regarding options.